And then I learned the hard way how flexibility is the key to resilience and well-being for me and my team. I'm Janet Fouts. After 25 years working as a CEO of a startup and a marketing consultant, I founded a company called Nearly Mindful. You see, I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed by the fast pace and high demands of modern work. After years of watching people burn out and lose touch with what truly matters, I shifted my focus to helping others find real fulfillment in their lives, both at work and at home. I'm going to tell you how I went from burned out, oversubscribed, and stressed to living a life that brings me meaning through helping others find their own strength, resilience, and well-being. And you can do it too. Growing up in the Midwest, I was taught that life was about paying your dues through the school of hard knocks. Success meant gritting your teeth and pushing through no matter the impact on your mental and physical well-being or your relationships. You got smacked down? No problem. Get up fighting. That was my definition of resilience back then. I often found myself working with companies ranging from tiny startups to mega corporations, all with different demands and timelines and keeping a lot of balls in the air to stay on top of everything. I had to know everything, do everything, be everything. If I wasn't perfect, I wasn't enough. I had a great team, but I often said things like, "Oh, I'll just do it myself." And that right there is a huge mistake, one that I see in leaders all the time. Why? Because maybe you doing it yourself isn't the best thing for you or for the client. It diminishes your team to think that they can't handle the work. With this way of working, you can kind of predict what happened to me, can't you? I started overpromising and underdelivering, making mistakes. Performance suffered. Before we knew it, everyone was irritable, second-guessing decisions, and making mistakes that created even more work. Morale dropped. We even came dangerously close to losing clients. But at the time, I didn't even realize burnout was the root of the problem. Fortunately, I had been studying a lot about emotional intelligence and the incredible things neuroscience was revealing about how the mind works, and I loved learning it. But I wasn't practicing any of it. I was too wrapped up in the chaos to put it to use. And then I learned the hard way how flexibility is the key to resilience and well-being for me and my team. I burned out, and it was bad. Burnout is a nasty critter. It can crush any will to keep trying, and the repercussions of it were reflected in my team. Pushing through wasn't an option anymore. So I took a few days off. I handed the reins to my team lead and went on a solo retreat. No work. Just walking in the woods, meditating, and listening to some of my favorite authors talk about mindfulness, positive psychology, and emotional intelligence. This wasn't just a break. It became the setting for a mindset shift. One of the books I brought was Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. In it, she describes a fixed mindset as one where we believe we only have a certain set of abilities and a rigid idea of how things should be done. That hit home. That was me. I was stuck, believing I had to hold everything together, be everything to everyone, and push forward no matter what. And it was ruining my life. Reading about growth mindset was a light bulb moment. It offered a new way to see challenge, not as something to avoid or try to control, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. The idea of psychological flexibility, the ability to pause, to notice what's happening in the moment, and to respond with openness instead of fear, helped me to get out of the box I felt trapped in and see that flexibility doesn't mean weakness. It means resilience. It means being able to check in with yourself, feel what you're feeling without judgment, and choose how how to respond. With a growth mindset instead of a fixed one, you and your team can see the space to move forward with clarity. That trip was the beginning of a real shift in how I work and how I live. It didn't happen overnight, but I came back to work with a different energy. I had clarity on what needed to change, not just in me, but in the way we operated as a team. We talked more openly about stress. We started to pause when things felt frantic and check in before reacting. We looked at whether fear or urgency was driving our decisions, and when needed, we gave each other permission to step back and take a breath. That psychological flexibility helped us to shift from reactivity to resilience. We stopped clinging to that fixed mindset that everything had to go a certain way and started asking better questions. Like, what else is possible here? What are we learning? And how can we support each other through this? And that's when things started to turn around. We took a pause. When you rush through your day, doing, do you miss things you meant to do but didn't get to? Running faster doesn't necessarily get us to our goals in the most effective way, does it? Pausing gives us a break in momentum to reevaluate, notice, and untangle the emotions and the thoughts that can cloud judgment. A simple moment to pause, or several moments, clears the mind and opens the door to a clearer view of what's driving your reactions. With something as simple as a pause, the mind catches up with what's happening. And with that fresh awareness, you can respond with intention and thoughtfully instead of acting on impulse. Pausing lets you step back and clearly see the emotions and the pressure on us all that's causing reactivity, fear, dread. That's sure not motivating, is it? Now you can get a bird's eye view of what's going on and are in a better position to see things clearly. Have an opportunity to make smarter decisions. So, for a moment, take a pause and get that bird's eye view. Look at what's on your plate today. Ask yourself, am I being reactive to something without really knowing why? What are the priorities here? And who is the best person to address it? Am I thinking more about my reputation or my ego than what's really the best way to get this done? When we can step back like this, we expand our ability to see clearly and move forward with intent, rather than contracting inward and resisting, or being bogged down in doubt, fear, and frustration. Let's look at something we did when we realized that our team needed to get a fresh perspective and to clear our heads. We switched up meeting and conference rooms inside and got outside for some fresh air together and worked through the points of struggle. We used the power of the pause to go outside for a walk. Walking meetings have become popular because they offer the refreshing break the team needed. Psychologically, walking outdoors stimulates the brain for creative thinking and problem solving. Movement increases blood flow to the brain, which lends a boost to focus, and without the constraints of an office or conference room, ideas tend to flow more easily. The change of venue to the outdoors and fresh air reduces stress and a sense of health and well-being. It also builds belonging, connection, collaboration, and trust. It's amazing how a problem that felt stuck in a meeting room can feel lighter and less daunting on a walking path. Opportunities and options pop into more open minds. Time like this naturally supports a growth mindset, one that's open, curious, and willing to see things in a new way. Walking meetings remind us that we don't always have to push harder. Sometimes we just need to be open to a fresh perspective. That pivot to pause, go outside with the team, showed the flexibility I've seen in many great leaders. They don't let setbacks hold them back. Instead, they learn from setbacks and see change and challenges as opportunities for growth rather than a threat. Psychological flexibility is one of the most powerful tools we have to prevent burnout. It's the ability to stay present, even when it's tough, and still take action that aligns with what matters most. Instead of reacting out of habit, fear, or the need to control everything, flexibility helps us to pause, to breathe, and choose a response that supports both our values and our well-being. When we're burned out, our thinking narrows. We drop into default survival mode, saying yes to too much, powering through and silencing the signals that tell us we need rest or help. Now, you have the tools to get out of default thinking, and you can loosen your vice grip on the shoulds. It gives you space to acknowledge how you're feeling without judging and shifting perspective, so you can work from clarity instead of stress. This doesn't make you less productive. It makes you more effective. You'll notice that you spin in circles less and start moving with purpose. Even more, it reconnects you with your values. You'll start asking, what really matters here? How do I want to show up? That shift brings compassion into the equation. And from there, you'll build sustainable success, not based on pushing harder, but on working smarter with intention. You'll be more creative, resilient, and open to learning. You're not stuck in a rigid box of how things should be, but curious about what's possible. And that's where the magic really happens. When you are flexible instead of rigid, you can modulate your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with the flow of life, rather than getting stuck in resistance. Instead of being bogged down by doubt, stress, or overwork, you can meet uncertainty with curiosity. Is there an opportunity to grow? Bring on flexibility, not to avoid challenges, but to move through them with confidence in your own innate wisdom. Even a raging river doesn't crash through a giant boulder. It finds the most effective path around it. It doesn't freeze in fear, it adapts. It continues to flow towards its goal, reshaping the landscape as it goes. That's what flexibility does for you. It helps us stay in motion, even when things feel blocked or overwhelming. So, how do you start? Work in some short, mindful pauses during your day. Even a 2-minute reset can interrupt reactivity and help you choose your next step with intention. Get clear on what your core values, what really matters to you, and let those guide your priorities. When your choices align with your values, it's easier to say no to overwork and yes to what sustains you. Be the river. When life throws boulders in your path, pause, breathe, and find your flow.